Dr. Daniel Vance was brilliant, maybe too brilliant. One day he ran some numbers, saw something terrifying, and dropped everything. Quit his job, sold his assets, and vanished into the woods with his young wife, Miranda. Over the next 15 years, they raised 5 kids in a hidden, high-tech bunker outside my hometown. They were eccentric, loaded, but oddly likable, bringing life and business to our sleepy town with their bizarre prepper requests. Then came the pandemic. The Vances went silent. Everyone figured they'd locked down in their bunker like they'd always planned, but 3 months in, the sheriff got a radio call, a sobbing kid, coordinates. When authorities broke into the sealed bunker, there were no bodies, no people, just rot, moldy sheets, smashed doors, and cryptic writing. Officially, it was chalked up to a non-contagious waterborne illness. Unofficially, no one had answers. Until I went looking for my missing dog, Ripley. I found the bunker. The door was still open. Police tape barely clung to the scorched metal. Ripley's paw prints led inside. I followed. It was like stepping into a tomb. Desperate scrawlings lined the walls. Daniel's writing, trying to fix the door, then slowly descending into madness. At the end, he'd written eulogies, one for each child. Each one ended with a cross. Then I found the hatch. Below was a twisted parody of a home. Rot everywhere, chairs stained with human silhouettes, blood or something worse on every surface. The most disturbing detail? The dining table. Stains lined up with where bodies had once sat and stayed. The TV turned on by itself. There was Daniel talking to his dead family, propping them up with rods so they'd sit upright. He kissed them, spoke to them, played games. It was horrific. They were clearly corpses, but he acted like they were still alive. Then he mentioned a door, one that hadn't been in the original blueprints. It had appeared at the bottom level. He heard things behind it, saw it open onto impossible spaces, said the sickness came from it. He didn't know if it was radiation or something else. I searched deeper, found his workshop, tools still out, even an arm, small, child-sized, joints re-engineered, probably so the corpses could move better. That's when I saw them. Glowing eyes in the dark, bodies moving, not fast, not clumsy, just deliberate. Ripley whimpered beside me. I ran. Down. I don't even remember thinking. Just instinct. I hid in storage. That's where I saw it. The door, not like the others. Too tall. Too wide. Covered in moss. Oozing sideways. Impossible. And then it opened. What I saw was not of this world. A fleshy tunnel lined with teeth and muscle. Breathing. Alive. A thing from nightmares. And from that door came Daniel, or what was left of him. A corpse, but aware. Eyes filled with knowing pain. He whispered to me. It didn't need a reason. Just an opportunity. Then something reached through that door and took him. Crushed his skull like an apple. I ran harder than I ever thought I could. Ripley at my side, I made it to the top. Tried to open the hatch. It was jammed. Something chased us. I could hear it, skittering like a spider with 1,000 limbs. I broke the lock just in time, but even outside it grabbed my leg, tried to pull me back, and I might have died right there, if not for Ripley. My sweet, scared dog turned and bit the thing. Hard. We escaped. I collapsed in the woods. Woke up in the hospital with pneumonia. The sheriff came asking questions. I played dumb. Let the memories stay buried. But sometimes my shortwave radio hisses at night, and in that static I hear a voice. Let them go. Let them go. 2 years ago, my wife Angie and I decided to stop throwing money at rent and finally buy a house. The market was vicious. Every offer we placed was outbid by multinational investment firms. I did everything right, got my degree, paid off debt, worked a good job, yet still found myself priced out of the city I grew up in. The rage nearly broke me. Eventually, we lowered our standards and found a deal in a less desirable neighborhood. For a great price, we bought a 4,500 square foot colonial with beautiful hardwood floors and ornate ceilings. The downside? It sat next to the freeway, in an area known more for crime than charm. The basement was especially creepy, unfinished, damp, and covered in spirals and strange faces drawn in crayon. The realtor brushed it off, calling it just kids, and telling us fixing it up would build value. Despite the flaws, we were happy. We made jokes about the loud pops at night, fireworks or gunshots, and guessed whether poop on the sidewalk came from a dog or a person. We adjusted. The neighbors were surprisingly warm. We felt safe, at least on the surface. There was a noticeable homeless population in the area, but they kept to themselves. Most residents ignored them entirely. I couldn't bring myself to do that. I always offered a smile, a nod, some acknowledgement of their humanity. One night, things changed. I was washing out a popcorn bowl after a movie. The kitchen window overlooks our backyard, but at night all I could see was my own reflection. Until I noticed something odd. A figure stood just beyond the bushes, still and tall. I stared, trying to confirm what I was seeing. A man, motionless, watching me. Startled, I dropped the bowl into the sink. Angie called out, asking if I was okay. I lied and told her I was just taking out the trash. In truth, I stepped outside to confront the man. "What do you want?" I asked, nerves tight. He didn't answer. He stood there in a long, heavy wool coat that brushed the tops of his boots. His face was gaunt, clean-shaven, and across his neck ran a thick white scar. He stepped forward, extended his fist, and opened his palm. Inside was a single pill capsule. Empty. "I don't have any drugs," I said, confused. He didn't react, didn't speak. When I asked if he wanted me to take the pill, he didn't move, just stared. Then he opened his mouth, revealing a severed tongue. His eyes widened. He tried to mouth something, but no sound came. I swear it felt like he was trying to curse me. I begged him to leave. Slowly he turned and disappeared into the darkness, parting the bushes like a silent shadow. The next day I asked around. Other homeless people averted their eyes when I described him. Nobody wanted to talk. Eventually, two guys working on a car down the street gave me a name, Tall Frank. They said he'd been in the neighborhood for decades. No one knew where he came from, and he never spoke. Rumors said he'd cut out his own tongue. Others said a dog had mauled him. Nobody really knew. They told me, Tall Frank talks to nobody, that I should count myself lucky or unlucky that he tried to communicate. Days passed. I started to feel sick. First came headaches, then heart palpitations. My body ached. At one point, I nearly went to the ER. I kept replaying that moment with Frank. That pill. Was he trying to warn me? Angie had been working late a lot, so I had plenty of quiet nights alone. I found myself staring through that same window, watching the backyard for any sign of him. And one night, he returned. Wrapped in a blanket, I was filling a teapot when I saw him again. Tall and still, right where he had stood the first time. I bolted outside, adrenaline killing my fear. "What do you want from me?" I demanded. He gestured for me to follow him. I hesitated, then stepped forward. Through the bushes, across the alley to a crumbling wall. He sat and patted the space beside him. I refused. Instead, he pulled two envelopes from his coat and handed them to me. I snatched them, unsure what to expect. One was a love letter, water-damaged, handwritten. It was from a man to Angie. My stomach dropped. The second envelope contained paperwork from an insurance company, a life insurance policy. In my name, $500,000. Angie was the sole beneficiary. I could barely breathe. Frank gently rested a hand on my shoulder. No malice, just quiet sympathy. I remembered the pill. The capsule was empty because it had been from one of my prescriptions, probably albuterol. An overdose could cause my symptoms. A quick search confirmed it. Angie wasn't just cheating, she was trying to kill me. Frank and I sat in silence. I looked up at the house. Angie stood in the upstairs window, stirring something into a mug. Moments later, the back door creaked open. "Honey, are you out here? I made you some tea." She had no idea I wasn't alone. Frank never said a word. He didn't have to. Not all the homeless are looking for spare change. Some just want to save your life. I've been a nude model for a couple of years now. It started as playful cosplay, then suicide girl type shoots, And eventually, once the money got real, I went into solo porn. It paid well, paid better than I ever thought showing my body could. Eventually, I moved out of my tiny kitchenette and into a nicer place. Because of Savannah. She was bright, bubbly, and successful. A homeowner at 22 with a massive following and the income to match. When she advertised her spare room for rent, cheap as long as I didn't mind her artistic collection of sex toys in the living room, I thought it was hilarious. We hit it off right away. She respected space, didn't act like she owned the place, even though she did. For a while, it was the best living situation I'd had. Then things got strange. One morning over breakfast, Savannah brought up a collaboration, a private request from a client. The job? We'd pretend to have sex with shadows, just shadows, 2 videos per week, 30 minutes each. He even provided costumes and otherworldly condoms. We laughed at first. It sounded bizarre but harmless. The money, though? It was serious. Enough for me to drop everything else. I was in. The box came with wigs, lights, some strange wooden and metal props, and the condoms. Thin, iridescent, stretchy, like plastic wrap for ghosts. There was even a photo showing how to set up the room. Oddly enough, the room in the picture looked exactly like Savannah's studio. The resemblance was uncanny. On the first shoot day, we arranged everything just like the photo. The lights moved slowly, casting large swaying shadows. For 35 minutes, we pantomimed intimacy with the darkness. It felt ridiculous, but tolerable. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Remember, shoot twice a week, separately. Creepy. Maybe he had bugged the room? We didn't find anything, but I figured he was just rich and controlling. The second video went fine, but during the third one, I started hearing something. A hum. Savannah said she didn't hear anything, but I knew I wasn't imagining it. It got worse during the fourth video, turning into whispers. Nothing distinct at first, just eerie syllables strung together. Then I started understanding them. I actually like this? Still, I said nothing. I thought I was going crazy. Maybe it was all in my head, but something didn't feel right. Then came video number 5. Another package arrived, new outfits, and another photo instructing us to rearrange the props. This time I couldn't hold back. Savannah, I asked, don't you think this room looks exactly like your studio? She paused. Her smile faded. Yeah, it does. But she brushed it off. We both did. What else could we do? That shoot. She forgot the condom. I didn't realize it until the moment her legs started disappearing, swallowed by the blackest shadow I'd ever seen. Her torso followed, then her face. She wasn't screaming in pain, just shock. Then she was gone. I reached for her, but there was nothing. Just empty air. The props were still hollow. The lights, the room, normal. But Savannah was gone. I panicked. I searched the whole house. I didn't know what to tell the police. What could I tell them? That the shadows took her? That night, I sat on the floor and cried. Canceled my live stream. That's when the email arrived. From shadowfucker@redacted.com. It's not your fault that your friend neglected my one rule. I like you, Ayla. The editor tried to cut off your face in the videos. But I see it. I see you're learning the shadow language. Something I never could. Keep working for me. I'll take care of your financial problems. Your sister, her kids. Find another second girl, and remember to tell her, always use the condom. I don't mind feeding them. I stared at the screen for a long time, not sure whether to scream, cry, or reply. He was watching. He was always watching. And now I had a decision to make.